The day we've been waiting for is finally here. The DCU kicks off with Creature Commandos, an animated series that serves as the entry point to James Gunn's new DC universe. Hey Internet, I'm Chris, and this is the place on the internet where I talk about comics, movies, games, and things I'm generally passionate about. Fans have been chomping at the bit for the new DCU, a cohesive cinematic vision for DC that spans across film, TV, and video games, and it all starts with Creature Commandos. In this video, we're going to break down who the Creature Commandos are and how this animated series isn't just an appetizer for the DCU, it's a monster-sized launch for a new type of comic book universe. And before we jump in, if you liked the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. The Creature Commandos made their first appearance in Weird War Tales 93, created by J.M.D. Mateus and Pat Broderick. The original team consisted of monsters tasked by the US government with taking on Nazis. Not so different from the Suicide Squad, this similarity will be important later. A group of misfits forced together and led by a human sounds like the perfect comic for James Gunn to adapt, and it fits perfectly into his previous DC work, which included the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. In this animated version of Creature Commandos, Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, presumably after being outed by her daughter in Peacemaker Season 1, can't deploy humans or metahumans to do her dirty work, so she turns to monsters. She tasks Rick Flag Sr., played by Frank Grillo, to lead this group into a foreign country against Xerxes, played by Anya Chalotra. Rick Flag Sr. made his first appearance in Brave and Bold 25, the debut issue of the Suicide Squad. He led the original version of the team and is the father of Rick Flag Jr., who later led the modern Suicide Squad lineup featuring supervillains. Flag Sr. is arguably one of the most important characters in Gunn's new DCU. He's the first to make the jump from animation to live action, with his appearance confirmed in Superman and Peacemaker Season 2. This will be especially interesting considering Peacemaker killed Rick Flag Jr. during the events of the Suicide Squad. Waller's exact connection to this version of Flag Sr. is unclear, but one can imagine that after the death of Flag Jr., she struggled to find a leader for her task force. Flag Sr. and Flag Jr. likely shared leadership qualities that made them uniquely equipped to deal with maniacs and monsters. Seeing Waller and Flag Sr. interact will be important, especially since Waller is set to have her own series, which is currently in development, and the fact she kind of was directly involved with the death of Flag Jr. Now the fun part. The monsters. This roster more closely resembles the team from Jeff Lemire and Alberto Petticelli's Frankenstein Agent of Shade, a modern take on the Creature Commandos during DC's New 52 reboot in 2011. This team was led by Frankenstein, who fought supernatural forces alongside characters like the Bride and Nina Mazursky, both making their debuts in Creature Commandos. Frankenstein, played by David Harbour, brings his unique flair to the role. Interestingly enough, Harbour had a small part in the first Suicide Squad movie directed by David Ayer. While little is known about Frankenstein's exact role in this series, his design and interviews suggest a characterization similar to the Lemire run with a James Gunn twist. The Bride, played by Indira Varma, looks and acts like the baddest character she was in the comics. Minus the extra set of arms, her relationship with Frankenstein appears to be strained, which should lead to some intriguing dynamics, which was also very similar to their relationship in the Lemire run. Nina Mazursky, however, is quite different. In the comics, she's a mad scientist who transforms herself into a creature. In this series, Mazursky is someone who is born half human and half fish, struggling to navigate a world that treats her like a monster. Her and Flag Sr. share a Shape of Water style scene that fans might not be ready for. Actress Zoe Chow has talked about Nina's challenges being of two worlds, and I'd imagine that her role is very similar to sort of where the Guardians of the Galaxy were characters that were all misfits and felt they were trying to find their place in the world. I would say this character is the most similar to the characterization you saw in Guardians of the Galaxy and what Gunn was able to do with that. And then there's Weasel, played by the most employed man in the DC universe, Sean Gunn. The Weasel survived the events of the Suicide Squad and is now back under Waller's control. I do not know about you guys, but I'm more excited about the return of Weasel than I am of a potential DCU Batman appearance. Next up is Dr. Phosphorus, played by Alan Tudyk, who is challenging Sean Gunn for his spot as most employed actor in the DCU. The character first appeared in Detective Comics number 429, alongside Rupert Thorne, who fans of Batman the Animated Series might recognize. Tudyk has hinted that this version of Phosphorus is irredeemable, brutal, and staying true to his comic origins. Finally, we have G.I. Robot, who looks more like Jeff Johns' Junkyard Joe than his classic comic counterpart. The original G.I. Robot debuted in Star Spangled War Stories 101, created by Robert Kaniger, Ross Andrew, and Mike Esposito. In the animated series, G.I. Robot, played by Sean Gunn, is portrayed as a Nazi killing machine, just like in the comics. And that's the team. While some might dismiss Creature Commandos as another Guardians of the Galaxy attempt, the action, brutality, and even sex take things to a new level we've never seen in a comic book adaptation. As James Gunn has stated, Creature Commandos is the start of the new DCU canon. While characters like Flag Sr. and Amanda Waller are confirmed to appear in future DCU projects, it's only a matter of time before others like Clayface, played by Tudyk, who also plays a version of the character in Harley Quinn's animated series, and Dr. Magnus, also played by Tudyk, the creator of DC's Metal Men, or even unannounced characters, make their presence felt in the larger DCU. And that's the Creature Commandos, DC's weirdest team. The series premieres on December 5th on Max. And if you liked the video, be sure to comment, leave a like, and or subscribe.